Welcome to week 2 of the VGL 2v2 season 1. We are met with our first match of the second week of competition, and every week here we have a bye week for each team, so I'm going to introduce a new team to you that you didn't see play in week 1 because that was their bye week. So let me introduce Protoss teammate Crump and his sidekick ElPolloLoco. Now, interesting story about these two guys. They are both VGL newcomers, and this is actually their first official time participating in any of our competitions, so it'll be interesting to see how they play, especially since they had one extra week basically of practice time, and they got to watch a little bit of the replays, most likely, of some of the casts that have been going on as well. And you see a little bit of banter there from Kromix. He is the Protoss half of the Timba team, and he's known for a little bit of joking around, and you see Boyo throwing it right back at him. And his teammate Timba, Pink Terran over here on the left side of the shared base, and we are playing on High Orbit, a shared base map with a fairly large map, very similar to Discord 4. And we'll have to see how this plays out. We do have these extra rocks here in the back, which provide for an extra ambush. There's also some smoke covering them, so we'll most likely see some kind of play using these, or at the very minimum just keeping an eye on them. We do see some early scouting already from Crump, with Kromix chasing them, and a little bit of an accusation there saying, hey, you guys trying to cheese us? Maybe worried for a little bit of a cannon rush, but it doesn't look like they really have to worry about that, as there are no forges currently being built. You see a spawning pool going down for Pollo, and it looks like just a straight macro game here. Take a look at the income tab. Looks like it's fairly even, with Timba falling a little bit behind, and we'll have to see if he can catch up a little bit. And another interesting side note for this map. Of course, having a Zerg does make it a little bit complicated with creep. Always see Crump just barely being able to wall in there. Expansions, however, not easy to come by. We do have very easily accessible golds, however, they're very difficult to defend with all these extra side passages here. We do have two bases off to the right and the left, respectively, and it's typically where you see a safer bet going to expand, especially with these extra passageways here being much more narrower. We see the wall finally complete for Timba and Kromix, and we see an orbital command coming down for Timba, and we see a couple Zerglings coming out for ElPolloLoco. Pollo, a big fan of early Zerglings, tends to use them to scout, harass, and basically do any kind of damage he can. He's known for his fast transition style, but it also has a tendency to leave him open a little bit, or sometimes spread himself a little bit too thin on the heavy tech investments. So we'll have to see how that plays out here. Timba and Kromix, in previous games, we saw them do a very heavy 5.5 minute, 7 minute rush. Doesn't look like they're going to hit the 5.5 minute mark here. We do see, however, Twilight Council going down for Kromix. That's usually pretty indicative of charge lots, something he tried to do early. He, however, did not use warp gates, and they forgot to expand, which ended up leading to a defeat. We do finally see a forge coming down for Crump, most likely for base defense, as it's a little late for a cannon push. Pollo grabbing his second base, opting to go for the safety expansions as opposed to the high-risk gold. We do also see an Overlord meandering in over here. Production tab, see speed coming in for the Zerg, and we also see stim packs and Marines, as well as a factory down for Timba. That will most likely lead to, I'm going to go ahead and guess with a Zerg on the map, probably Hellion play with some stimmed Marines, and it looks like they will try to do some kind of early push. And we see 3 Marines here trying to pick off this Overlord, and they will get it. And that will send Pollo's supply tumbling a little bit. Still very early in the game, though, to go ahead and bounce back. You see warp gates also under research, and Pollo using those early lings to go ahead and grab 2 of the most key Zelnaga towers in reference to their bases. And we see Crump failing miserably at placing this pylon. However, this cannon backed up by this Overlord will give it vision to at least be able to hit. Looks like he may have cancelled that cannon. No, he's going to go for more warp gates instead. So let's go ahead and take back a look at the income tab. We see it kind of pulling fairly even. Timba straggling a little bit behind, which is pretty typical for him. He tends to underwork and under drone, under SCV, I guess. And we do see a nice formation here at push. Supply depot is down, so it looks like they will be rolling out. We do also see Pollo with his own batch of Zerglings on the map, and it looks like they will meet here in the center. No, it looks like Pollo just barely was able to get past him, taking down that worker there. It'll be interesting to see if they go ahead and push forward, or if they don't. It looks like these Zerglings are just kind of scouting around, looking to see if there possibly was any proxy pylons. They did not find any, and it looks like a change of heart for Timba and Kromix here as they kind of scamper back into their base. May want to put this wall up. That's usually pretty dangerous. There we go. So meanwhile, back at Crump, he's lucky he got there first, because this creep will make it impossible to rebuild this. You do see Pollo starting to saturate, and you see his income tab starting to rise, just barely starting to, within striking distance of 1,000 minerals. And we do see some more zealots coming down. We do see warp gates. A little bit of a change from Kromix. It looks like they've abandoned any attempt at an early rush, as they are now well past 8 minutes. It looks like we have a siege tank on the map. That will definitely make things a little bit more interesting in their favor. Lots and lots of Marines. Shield on the way. Take a look at the production tab really quick. We see some upgrades coming down for Crump. No units yet, though, outside of the initial stalkers that he's built here. And we do see these workers coming in. Oh, it looks like a Zergling spotted the attack coming in. And we do have some now morphed Banelings and Zerglings off to the side here. And, they were just kind of left behind from when they were scouting for pylons. But it looks like they may provide a nice sneak attack as they go to work on these rocks trying to get through. And it looks like they're going to catch this tank off guard. And all the Banelings coming in. And he micros them perfectly. Gets most of the Marines. Wow, what a huge surprise. I don't even think Timba knows what hit him. The last siege tank is heavily damaged, goes into siege mode. However, they have no vision up here. He needs to get a scan down as quickly as possible. We see Blink coming in quickly for Crump. We see more Marines on the way, as well as some Banelings and Zerglings. And this is definitely going to be a little bit of a timed situation here, as Pollo's going to want to try to flank them as quickly as possible. See a siege tank getting a few shots off, but one siege is not going to be enough to really do much damage. He might be able to get that pylon, and these zealots go to work here. Pollo really needs to get these Banelings, more Banelings, and he needs to get them in position to try and splash damage as many of these zealots as they come through this choke as possible. See more Marines and more zealots coming in now. See the Zergling Baneling going in for the back attack. And no, they blow completely past. They hit a few Marines on the way, and it looks like he's going for the main base. He's going to slam into this wall. Oh no, Timba's left this supply depot down, and the Zerglings just burst right through as simultaneously these stalkers try to hold off these Marines here. We have two battles going on two fronts. Zerglings and Banelings just completely wiping out the economy of Timba. We see more of these zealots rolling in here as these stalkers try to hold, but they will not as they get completely surrounded. Meanwhile, back at Timba's base, all hell has broken loose as these Zerglings are just rampaging everything here. These zealots making quick work of Crump's thing. It's so difficult to bounce back and forth. We have so much action going on both bases here, and Timba is kicking himself for leaving that door down. That door is that supply depot is going to be the difference here on a base trade that was completely unnecessary. These Marines and Zealots going to work on what remains of Crump's base. Some well-placed Banelings there, and these Zerglings are going to take advantage of the complete focused nature of those Marines and completely take out any remaining forces. That leaves Pollo's Zerglings completely uncontested as they are just rampaging through Kromix's base, completely crippling both teams here. Absolute disaster of what otherwise was a great push on behalf of Kromix and Timba. They had a little bit of trouble early on getting through that hole, and once they broke through, they had everything they needed to do some serious damage. And one mistake, it came down to one mistake of a supply depot left down, and these Zerglings and Banelings were able to rush right through and have completely crippled both teams. This is definitely a sad chain of event. Timba, no doubt, with a broken heart. You see the next one message there, as he knows that this could have definitely gone a different way, or at least given them a much better fighting chance. Total heartbreak on the Kromix Timba team. That is the second time in 2 weeks that a very silly oversight has cost them what could have been a win, and we'll have to see how they psychologically bounce back from that in Game 2.